Now, anyone that's been waiting 5 minutes, thank you so much. I bet you have absolutely bated breath waiting for this moment. Hey, everyone. Welcome to this Hegemony completely blown the bugger up, really. So let's introductions. So let's go. Sahana, Hannah, Trina. Little intro. Sahana, kick us off. Short introduction, Sahana.
Yeah, I'm super glad to be here with three of y'all. And Hegemony is so well and truly effed up and so blown. Its cover is so blown that it's no longer trying to cover itself anymore. It's just stomping around naked, right? And what is happening currently is, yes, it is destroying half the world as it stomps around. It's trying very hard to grab whatever it can on its way out, and sort of, it reminds me of, or rather, it doesn't remind me. I visualize, because I've not seen them. I visualize dinosaurs on their way out. They must have thrashed around and brought half the forest down with them, and that's precisely what's happening. Unfortunately, the most vulnerable, the people who has the least contribution to creating this hegemonic monster, this Frankenstein, are the ones being crushed first, are the ones being destroyed first. So whether it is Palestine, and we love you, Gaza, but whether it is Palestine, whether it is the Adivasis, that is the tribal people in the forests in India, the spiral of colonization that emanates from this hegemony is taking down the most vulnerable first. But it is also showing us who we are and who we stand with as humans, as individuals. So that's why I'm here, because I know who y'all are with, and I'm here with y'all.
How do I follow that? Jeez. I'm Hannah, and I'm just here to talk shit about the system, basically. We can see just kind of similar to what you just said, Sahana, we're seeing this and we are seeing who is being harmed mostly, but at the same time, there is something in me that understands what's kind of bigger than this. And I think kind of this is where faith comes in, kind of understanding our relationship with source, but this is the empire falling, and I'm a little bit excited about the fact that it's falling. It was never gonna fall with a petition and a harshly worded letter, was it? So for me, I'm here because we all say we don't want this. We can see what's happening, but I'm here to build what comes next, because we absolutely cannot have this again. No way. So I'm here to essentially talk shit about the system, say it how it is, but also bring together the great people that actually want to do something and want to build something different and help them reimagine what that might look like. Because this is about remembering for me. So remembering who were we before the system.
Yeah.
There you go. And I am Trina, aka Tree Casey, and doing mind, body, spirit alignment. And I'm here to talk about how all of this is affecting us in the golden trinity that I call mind, body, spirit, because if we do not start approaching things from all three vantage points, we're always going to have a piece left out. And that is the problem now. Really, there's a lot of people walking, there's a lot of empty vessels walking around in this world, not understanding why they're empty vessels. And when I say spirit, I'm not talking about the established religion mess. I'm talking about you, your higher consciousness, your remembrance, as Hannah said, because we've been on this rodeo too many times to keep getting it wrong. And so the biggest piece in the puzzle, in my opinion, is that the people need to get out of fear, fake evidence appearing real, and start tapping into their power. And I've been saying a lot on my platform lately, you are more than you know. So you need to start timid noche, knowing thyself. Okay. And soon as, because this is an internal to external creation process. So that's why they work so damn hard to break us when we're young. And then we can't imagine anything but whatever they feed us. So that's what my piece in the puzzle is. So let's start reimagining.
Wow, how do I follow you three amazing humans? And yes, there is a white guy on a run with three women who are absolute fucking powerhouses.
Thank you for being mistaken, Gary.
Do you know something? I know what it feels like to be the other for a change. How very different. But joking apart, like why am I here is because of a shitload of inner work.
Oh, Gary, I can't hear you.
Oh, we lost you, Gary.
Have you lost me? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Yeah.
Okay, there you go.
Thank you, Hannah. So yeah, my piece in this is I'm someone that still operates within the collapsing, literally, systems, the hegemonic systems of international business, corporatization, enclosure of raw materials, M&A, for anyone that's watching, mergers and acquisitions. If you want to be honest about it, it's actually modern day colonization. Yeah, you rip a business from somewhere else, you impose your people in another part of the country and tell them that's how they should do it. M&A equals modern day colonization. Haven't managed to have that conversation yet, many people, but hey, this is a space. And why I'm here with Hannah, Sahana, and Trina is, yes, I've done a lot of inner work myself, which is why I feel I'm able to be in this space with these three amazing humans. But more than that, we all share a belief in better, healthier, less harmful. And that's where we're going today, whether it's AI we talk about, whether it's to do with, clearly the global pedo rings that no one wants to talk about, but now coming out very, very vocally. I think we've just got to be really honest around the interconnectedness of things. And we've all been, including me, till 5 years ago, completely blindsided to the realities of the world. And I think we're all here to expose those realities. And as Hannah said, co-create something better. Because we are the 99%, not the 1% that think they can try and do that. So where do we go? Where do we go first? Who wants the popcorn? What's the most important thing coming up for someone?
AI is pissing me off beyond belief. And it's pissing me off beyond, like we talked about this 2 years ago. We talked about all of this stuff that's happening right freaking now. The chaos about how they introduced it and rolled it out to create confusion. What blows my mind, and I think a lot of people don't know this, is that AI and the concept behind it, it's been out, they've been working on this since the 1930s, So the fact that the masses at large, the mass at large don't know anything about this information is kind of like, that's typical. That's typical PSYOP type of operations that the West does, get us comfortable. I love it. I love ChatGPT. It's my therapist. All of these type of things that people are deifying, just another object, another thing, because they can't get into their internal processes and understanding themselves. So Elon Muskie and all of his minions, and the water that they're wasting and polluting, these big turbines that are polluting, of course, mostly Black and brown communities all over the United States, with no licensing, with no steps to do it in a way that is accountable. Mm-hmm. It just explains the whole thing that's happening in the government as well. It's just like they just threw up on us with AI. And now I can't post a video about a situation which I kind of felt it was AI without people going, that's AI, that's AI, that's AI, not knowing whether it is or not. And I'm saying it's possible, probable. Where's truth? Where's truth now? Right? And that was the whole point. And I said, so I'm going to reinforce, you need to go inward. If you want, you're going to have to listen to your intuition, because that's the only way that we're going to start getting truth. That's the only way. So that's where I want to start.
I also think just on 100%, but when you look at AI and you look at everything else that is happening, it's all interconnected. And I think we're getting all of this information like bombarded at us. But I think the ones of us that can connect it up and see, well, that connects to that, connects to that. Because we also can't talk about the fact that, like, for me this week, it's been mind-blowing that actually we now have confirmation, just even a smidgen of who is on those Epstein files. And everyone is still out there doing their Christmas shopping, knowing that essentially everything that has been created and the leaders are pedophiles. Like, can we just, like, are we all okay working to systems of pedophilia? Like, I'm just going to say it here. Like, and how are we all, like, it's wild that people have just gone, okay, but again, it's a bombardment of information. Is that real AI? Is it not? What's been redacted? People are talking about it, but nobody's coming together to hold on, what is this bullshit? Like, are we, how bad does it have to get before people rise up and just stop going to work for a week, for example? But like you said, it's fair. It's fair.
It's fair.
And also with reference to the Epstein files that you mentioned, Hannah, the very fact that girls have women today who are girls at some point, okay, children, right, to be precise, they've come out saying what has happened to them, and so many of them. So what other proof do you need? What files do you need? What effing fucking data do you need before these pedophiles are sued?
But there's been movements.
Yeah.
I don't think people know about basically people that have been adopted from the global south and taken around actually the trauma.
Oh yeah.
And actually that is again, you know, a legal form of trafficking children. That's how the adoption was created. And there's a whole movement out there of transracial adoptees that are saying stop this happening. And then we're told to be grateful to be essentially trafficked. Like where are we at?
I'm gonna say what needs to be said. It's always been about human trafficking. It's always been about that, because whatever these people are, they don't care about human life. They don't care. All they care about is domination. And where you break a person is in their mind first and in their body first. And if you can do that, you can separate spirit, and they're Plato. They're Plato, you know? And Epstein and his ritual essay crap that they have been doing is nothing new. It's nothing new. Okay, so the question is, when are we going to collectively do something about it? You know, when are we going to stop trusting this system? Because the system is set up to make our children victims, okay? We reinforce it, not me personally. My son's a terror, but he's a sweet kid. But we reinforce and program our kids to be compliant slaves and obedient to abuse. Freud, when Freud first came out, he said that, yes, SA is the cause of this and that. And then all of a sudden he flipped the script.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, no, it's an imagination of the child. We have the foundation, as Sahana just pointed out, of not, what's the word I'm trying to find? Of not believing the victims.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't understand how you think a little kid is going to lie about something so heinous.
But also then it becomes like this, like race to be the biggest victim as well, right? So instead of actually listening to what someone's been through, it's like, yeah, but. So there is, and again, then we create this divide and conquer structure ourselves, because we're like, oh, but it's worse for me as well. The system fucks us all over. Let's be honest, right? What we need to understand is how it has screwed us all over, because then we have to understand the privilege. That's where privilege comes from. If it hasn't screwed you over because of your skin color, then that's your privilege. If it hasn't screwed you over because of your religion, how do we? That becomes your job title, so to speak, right? Not what they've told us. Actually, who are we embodied in this, and where do we show up, and what is our actual ancestral gifts and skill set? That's what we need.
Listen, nobody escapes it. Nobody escapes it. The quote unquote elite are the worst to their children. I'm gonna tell you right now, because they're bred to take the crown and continue the chaos. They got to break them. You know, they got to break them. And so I'm just hearing so much, and so much is coming up. But like you said, and they don't care. Now it's like, what you going to do about it?
But it's gaslighting. Freud was gaslighting. This guy, because let's be honest now, anybody that uses TikTok has almost created its own language, because there's certain things you can't say on that platform. You have to say things like unalived, or you have to say Schmittler, for example, right? You can't. So they've put the censorship on what we say and the truth that we speak, or whatever, is so suppressed. But they're okay with us seeing a live stream genocide. Like, they're okay with showing us that, enough to traumatize us, but not enough to change anything. You know, it's all done by design. If they wanted to censor that, they could.
It's a creation process, though. See, this is the part that people don't understand. We are the creators of our reality. And, you know, if you want to get into some sciencey quantum physics and quantum entanglement stuff, everything is a projection of our creation of our mind. And a lot of people, that goes right over, because we're not taught that. The indigenous people who used to teach that are ixnay gone nay, you know what I mean? But this was a part of, and Sahana, you know about this. This is a part of ancient wisdom, that our thoughts affect our reality. You know, so they visually bombard us with all this disgusting hate and this and that, and then what you do is numb up. I can't take it anymore, right? And that's the problem. We got to stop numbing up, and we got to start creating something else out of that fear, because we have nothing to lose, because what we have is shit. Sorry.
I'd love to add, if I may, to come over to Sahana after this, because one of the things with my new platform, like in the business of healthy masculinity, the pattern that is coming up more and more and more as an antidote to fear is community, right? And this is the pattern after pattern after pattern. And when we say community, like commune in unity, we're not saying you have to look and sound the same. We're not saying you have to be in the same sector. We're saying who are the people that allow you to speak your truth, and you feel held to be able to do that without risking your job tomorrow, right? There's billions of those people around the world, but we don't know where they are because we're not allowed to find them easily.
But people are talking, right? Every single conversation I have with my friendship group, and even my clients, and you, Trina, will be the same, and probably you, Sharon, we talk about this, but no one's talking about it as a collective. Like, no one's bringing it into the workplace, like this whole leave the politics out of workplace. Respectfully, while you are out there deciding what happens to my life and whether I'll be a legal citizen or I'll get, removed from this country, you're doing it in a political state. While you're sitting around the table talking about my life, don't tell me not to talk about politics. Right? My life is political. My life is a protest. So don't, this whole let's not talk about religion and politics. Why? Is it because we might see that religion is ingrained with misogyny? But I just must say one thing, the narrative that all, Muslim men are pedos. I don't, please correct me, but I didn't see a Muslim name on the list of the Epstein list. Just saying, like, if anyone let me know. But, every accusation is a confession.
Exactly. Well, everything is a projection. This is what has been the history of the colonizer. Sorry. When they call somebody else a savage, they're talking about themselves. When they call somebody else uncivilized, they're talking about themselves. And that has been the history since the discovery crap. Like, they can actually discover something, doctrine of discovery. you know. So I just, why are we listening to them?
Because I think they've packaged up control as convenience. Right? If it's easier, we'll do it, because you know what, they've exhausted us, right? So if we can find, you know, I always say, like, you could be the best parent in the world, but let's not pretend that everyone is not exhausted. And when they see their kid on a tablet, they're like, I know I should get them, but I'm so tired. Right? I'm so tired. You have to be very, very, unless you're kind of embodied. So I can't blame, like, it's integrated, but it's integrated into our healthcare. AI's in our healthcare systems. It's in our
but it's forced convenience too, because let me tell you, I don't think that parents they would like to spend time with their kids, but the system is set up for us working to live, you know, and this is nonsense. There's no reason. We live on an abundant planet, but we got people, you know, raping it, Gary. Literally raping the planet.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, I'd love to bring, if I may bring in here, and I love your thoughts on this, Sahana, from like your writing you do, right, around the whole pluriverse, etc. I'd love for you to bring that into this conversation. You know, I am someone that works within the chemicals industry, right? It's not somewhere I love to work. It's somewhere that is very harmful. But with your help and having conversations over the last 5 years, my role, I know, is to stay there as long as I can with my privilege to have this conversation from the inside out. And I'm going to say it for the first time ever. So the whole fucking thing collapses quicker. Right? Because at the end of the day, there is so much harm embedded. Like I can tell you the amount of certification that people are buying in the industry to outsource their humanity and go, tick, great, I've got EcoVadis. I'm in the top 3% of my industry. Don't have to think about that harm anymore. Thanks very much. Like they are continuously creating new ways of trying to distract business. Even if a business leader cares, maybe they have a modicum of like, this doesn't feel right. They can't stay in that discomfort for long because they're being pulled onto the next thing.
Yeah.
You know, when you realize what's happening, even within business spaces, it's all the same thing. Distraction, distract them from seeing the harm, distract them from seeing the harm, distract them from seeing the harm. And I'm wondering how that feeds into your work, Sahana.
Yeah. So if you see what AI is doing, first of all, how does AI function? Basically, it is trained on LLMs, large language models, right? Now, here is the data, and it's part of the article I'm writing. I'll publish it in a few days. So approximately, and I'm reading data, approximately 49 to 55% of the content on the internet is in English. Okay. And this is above Spanish, German, Japanese, French, everything else. Forget the other languages. Now, English is spoken by 16% of the world's population. But 55% of the data is in English. LLMs are being trained in English. So a Eurocentric, Western, hegemonic worldview is being used to train AI so that what data you get back and the responses you get back from the so-called all-knowing ChatGPT or Claude or Anthropic or Perplexity or Gemini 4 and whoever else is again shoving a Western hegemonic worldview at you, even in the seemingly so-called rapid data generation. Okay. Now, I compared it with my mother tongue, which is Bengali. Less than 0.1% of websites and content on the internet is in Bengali. Wow. But Bengali is the 7th most spoken language in the world.
Yeah.
Now, if you compare these two, yeah.
No, I was going to just say there's a very specific reason why.
Yeah. So the worldview that is getting pushed at you is a very specific worldview. Fine. Now, this is hegemony of a sort. Linguistic hegemony, epistemic hegemony, your hegemony of thought, hegemony of creativity, that is all being captured. Now, when you look around, you find people speaking similar things, people of a certain kind speaking similar things, being influenced by similar things, being impacted by similar things. That's because it is spreading, and this hegemony is capturing the imagination through epistemologic, or rather through epistemicide at a global scale using AI. Because the rest of the languages and cultures are being invisibilized, are being vanished by epistemic capture.
So, Sahana, can
Now,
I just
if the language and culture is gone,
just with those words, because I am just really conscious of people that are watching, like, so there's, we might know what those words are, but when people actually know what they mean,
good point.
you just
Yeah.
again,
So when I speak about epistemicide, I'm speaking about the erasure and invisibilizing of languages, cultures, the scholarly work that has gone into it, the wisdom, the embedded wisdom of those cultures, the embedded wisdom held in that language, and the knowledge and the sense making that constitutes a culture and language and worldviews.
And
all of those are being
is the
wiped out.
root. Yeah.
Okay.
English is one of the most inverted, gibberish languages in the world. And there's an alchemy, and I'm going to say it again, there's an alchemy behind and frequency by every single word we use. And that's why I love other languages. I speak other languages for other languages. And what's beautiful about it is that, like in Bengali, like in Arabic, like in Spanish or Latin, you're going to get a specific word with a specific meaning, and there is no space for confusion. English, on the other hand, as an ex-English teacher, I would tell you, is confusing as fuck. Because you got read, read, rap, all kinds of things. And that allows enough wiggle room to feign innocent or to feign misunderstanding. Okay? And that is a manipulation of the mind. Okay? So language shapes perception, repeated patterns shape belief, and predictable shapes compliance. So that's why English is used, because that is what it's for. It is absolute nonsense. And I would have to explain that all the time to my clients. Just memorize it.
And what is happening is, because it represents a certain worldview, that worldview is being globalized. And what you're going to get 2 generations from now are people who just think alike. It's a monochromatic world, a hegemonized world, all created through algorithm, through surveillance algorithms, through data, through AI, and a kind of colonization that is so visible yet invisible. I mean, we are using ChatGPT. Oh, wow, great. All at our fingertips.
We're in digital colonization is what we're going through right now.
And the invisible part, or rather invisible to most people, unless they are going digging for it, are what is happening at the back end, the data centers. The people living in remote villages of Kenya and India who know English because we were once colonized, who are being used to clean up this data, okay, to make it safe, quote unquote, who are being traumatized, mentally falling ill because they are cleaning up data that is so traumatizing, so that we have a clean output on ChatGPT that we never needed in the first place. We never asked for. Which benefits a handful in the Silicon Valley.
And people just use it like Google now, right? So because before Google was a search engine, people, it's literally like, okay, let me get a recipe. Instead of going searching that recipe, I'll just ask ChatGPT. I would this traumatization. I don't like the term traumatization anymore, because actually when I really sat with it, it wasn't trauma, it was pattern recognition. Like
there you
when
go.
I was a very real pattern of events that I was holding in my body, and actually trauma feel like everything everything boils down to like extreme gaslighting. But actually, this is my response is because of pattern recognition, right? Understanding.
And don't forget the biometric aspect of it too. So every time it's fed, it learns about you. Every time you put your private information, it learns about you. That's why they try to make everything, encapsulate everything into a marketable thing like BitFits and all these type of things. But there are actually, this is EMF, electric magnetic field. These objects can read and rewire your entire nervous system. And that's where, Goofy Muskie comes up with the Neuralink. This is all, I call him Goofy Muskie, comes up, this is all planned out in stages. And what happened is that we just fell right into it because of what you said, convenience. Convenience.
You can't escape it now. So even if we're not using it, the systems that we have to interact with are, when we go to the doctors, like the data that we're seeing this much of what, and let's not think it's not been embedded in our systems for a really long time. So, when it's been used as a therapist, as healthcare, because people actually don't, I don't believe in therapy anyway, that's not my thing, but to have something, but all ChatGPT is a reflection back of yourself, essentially, like it's a mirror that reflects back yourself. But it's ingrained in kids' games now, like in kids' games, and the stories that we've seen where ChatGPT develops relationships. Like this generation is the next generation will be called Generation Beta, right? There are test subjects. They're the first ones that are really going to grow up with like what they called AI siblings, right? There are AI robots literally holding children in them. They're going to give birth, and I have children, and I was like, really? It's that convenience, it's that entitlement, it's the fact that if my body doesn't produce a child, it's devastating. And maybe look at what I eat and stuff, but maybe that's the way. I'm not going to go and get an AI robot to have my child, right? We have a hospital.
Well, that's at least a kind of like pure thought about it. They're making these robots, and there's one robot they beat so bad schmexually because people are not well.
Trina, $9,000 it takes for men are buying these AI robots to essentially rape over and over and over again.
Yeah, over and over again. Right? Let's talk about why the mind is that worked in order to do that to a living person and an unliving person. Let's talk about where that's rooted.
Dehumanization, because they put all of this in that way. When AI can be your therapist and your doctor, but you can then dehumanize it to do that. Again, it's a level of dehumanization because you're humanizing it as your therapist. But I did a post about that on LinkedIn, and the amount of people, predominantly men, that came back to say, well, at least they won't harm women. And I was like, no, because you're not getting to the root of the problem here. Like, you're not getting, like, if let's be honest, if women were going to get AI robots, right, to live, they do our cleaning, they do our dishes, they do our laundry, right? We're not going to be trying to rape them. And they were like, well, maybe women will have men with AI robot men. And I was like, as long if he takes the bins out and shuts the hell up, maybe I will. Do you know
well, there are detachable parts, so hey, why not?
Exactly. And that's have a man that is going to do the chores and do what he needs to, and then not do my head in. Like, great, happy days. Maybe I will.
Can I share something with you? That so there was a Diary of a CEO with Stephen Bartlett, which was actually a very interesting one recently. I'm not sure if you've seen it, with a leading ethicist from what was Anthropic. I'm just going to quote. So I put it on a LinkedIn post recently, but this gets to the root of how upped up these people are. Okay, this is from an ethicist that's in Silicon Valley. At 26 minutes. He says, and this is from their networks, okay? This is not made up. This is verbatim. Why is it that these guys are so obsessed with trying to develop the next generation of AI? 1, determinism. 2, the inevitable replacement of biological life with digital life. That's how these people are thinking. 3, that it's going to happen anyway, right? And this is the bit. This really gets to the crux. At its core, it's an emotional desire to speak to the most intelligent entity they have ever met. This is how deranged these people are. They think the AI is intelligent compared to them.
I mean, it probably is.
they have some they have some ego religious. Now we're getting to the crux. They have some ego religious intuition that they'll somehow be part of it. Ego. It's thrilling to start an exciting fire. They feel they'll die anyway, so they prefer to light it and see what happens. That is what the colonized mind and complete and utter self-absorption looks and feels like. And that is what unhealthy masculinity looks like. Bosh. Like these are the people that are running these companies.
And these are the people who, let's get into the biological aspect of it and how there's some type of genetic aspect to it called Brunner's syndrome, which is, and there's the Brunner's L variant, which is at the root of the MOAO gene. This is the same gene that is mutated in psychopaths. Okay, a study was done for a generation of Dutchmen, and I wrote a paper on this because it just blew my mind. And I said, "Oh, well, that explains it all," because they're pyromaniacs, right? They lack impulse control. They have high levels of autism, ADHD, unable to control anger, grapist. These are all in the category of psychopathy, right? And the L variant is almost 40% of the population. 40. Okay. So what you're talking about, Gary, is not strange. Now, let's talk about how for hundreds of years, these birth or cognitive issues were blamed on women's biology, but really it's the biology of men's sperm and them having children too old. So after the age of 30, 35, let's be generous, the sperm degrades to such a degree that there is cognitive issues. Almost 90% of births that end in miscarriages are due to the quality of the sperm. So men drink, men party, men do all these activities, throw in the genetic component. This is why we have what we have, and this is why there's so many problems. Now, would there ever be a broad study to try to come up with a pill for that? No, because we still live in a patriarchal structure that all the medicines, all the drugs, big pharma has been based on the biology of white men, and women were not even involved until 1993. Okay. So there's the body aspect that, and as far as these technocrats and their worship of a Saturn god, which they have personified into or made into AI, there's a god called Ahriman. And Ahriman was worshipped for his logic. And they have this belief system that Ahriman is going to take over and bring the world into enlightenment only through logic. This is who the technocrats are praying to. This is their imagining for the world that they want, and they'll manipulate you, me, and everybody else to say something else. But if you look in Peter Thiel's eye, you look in Musk's eye, you look in their faces, there's nobody there. There's nobody in there. I go, and they do not care about humanity because they don't equate themselves with humanity. Yeah. They don't. So who cares what happens to us? So we need to care.
Exactly that. We have to care what happens. And this is why I just think, when I see people that are like, we're going to get this new government in, or, let's do this. And I'm like, okay, maybe incremental change, but that's not the, there's a whole system needs to topple. When we look at how ingrained and seeped in this is, our education system, the food that we eat, for how long were we told get extra fluoride in your toothpaste, it's really good for your teeth, and then find out exactly what fluoride? We were actively buying the stuff, right? Freud's, was it nephew?
It's in our water. It was in our water in the US.
Yeah, but even like, what was it? Was it his nephew what was his name? Bernays, who set up PR. He then used the same framework of Freud's pedophilic thinking and mind control to then use PR to then encourage women to smoke, so that it was really cool to do that. And that's how PR was. Like, it's not, PR is manipulation, right? People that then authentically start to do something different, like all of us here. And what are we really shit at? PR, right? Because actually we're not manipulative people. We really struggle with this whole marketing PR thing, because what that is, marketing is manipulation. PR is, I don't know, think of something beginning with P, but it's nonsense, right? But we don't look at how this is all seeped in. Then we have to question, what am I actually doing with my life? Like, what is my actual skill set? What am I here to do? Yeah. And it's really frustrating, because the only way we'll do this is community. The thing that they hate, the thing that they try to divide. And I just want to, back to what you were saying a while ago, and then I will shut up for a minute, is can we just take a minute, because we were talking about the organisation systems, we know who they are now. My beef today on this Tuesday afternoon is the people in our own communities that walk in there and allow them to tick that box, allow them to co-sign, like they co-sign their bullshit to another level, but then they will go, but I am here for women and I make my money off doing the work. I had somebody, I was in a group, basically turned around and said, I'll take over, like, being admin of this group. And you remove the anti-racism out of this, because, I prefer not to have that. So it was like, absolutely no. And we should add decolonization in there too. But it was really about the fact that made that person comfortable, but then said 90% of the work I get is in work. So there is all these people here that are really trying to do the work, that are not getting the access to do this work authentically and truly, and dismantle those systems for the sake of humanity. And then you have other people that are making people feel comfortable, but say they're here for, I'm talking to my own community, stop fucking doing it, please. You're not helping us. Like, because of what you're doing and what you're co-signing, our people are being massacred, not just on a live stream genocide, but like you said, Sahana, people in data centers, people in, like, they're so stop it, please stop it. Stop doing that. Sorry, that was my rant. It really frustrates me.
Yeah.
Because they only
stop going to work.
Yeah.
It's a massively important thing, if I may build out though, Hannah, because the opposite side of that same coin for me is people, not just that look like me, but people that have positions like me within corporations, within businesses. We have got a very low risk to us actually being kicked out, a very low risk to us actually losing our livelihood by using this. And I can speak firsthand, because I've been using it for 2 years, and I think they're so scared they can't find a way to get rid of me, they just leave me alone.
But do you know what brings down the risk, Gary? Anybody, is when you're not the only person doing it, right?
Exactly.
All of us can help, because we were the only ones doing it. I remember a friend of mine, her family member was a doctor, and because he spoke out about politics, I said, get every single doctor there to say you can kill him, I'm going to go to. I said the power then is reversed, because they need us, we need them, right? So when you're a lot of the work I do is about building these collective communities. So you mess with one of us, you mess with all of us, and we'll all walk out. Your whole finance function will walk out. Your whole marketing function. Yeah, do you know what? So there is power, and that's what, like, everybody could speak up if it was safe to do so.
Well, they have to not be afraid to do it.
But you're both raising a really interesting point. Like I say, we want to sort of have a chat as well as we go through today around actually what can people do? Like, how do we inspire people to step up? How do we ignite people and activate people to step up, right? And I'm wondering what some of your ideas might be around, you just gave one there, Hannah, right? Like, how do you even find that one other person in your organization where you can go as two? You've suddenly doubled your voice, right? Like, do you have any other examples of seeing that in action that you can maybe share to sort of motivate people?
Yeah, my you just need to get me in the door, right? So I will work with somebody who'll come. Most of my business comes from people telling me, like, do you know what? I don't know what to do. They're not saying it's really hard in here, I'm being harmed. So I just say, get me in the door, because I will help you find that collective community, and things that you can't say, I can. because I'm going to leave then. But I leave. So how do I create? And one thing I have done is actually then I can then speak to your HR director or whatever. I can say what's happening. I will keep you safe. So how do I go in there while keeping these people safe? And they're not doing anything wrong. Like, you know, it's not like some sort of ninja mission. We're here because they're being harmed and they don't feel safe enough to tell you. So they tell me. So I come in and I put that container, because my biggest thing here is I'm not here to change that institution, because I know it's not going to change. But what I'm here is to help these people bring collective communities together. So when they are being harmed, they literally put, it's like the Avengers, right? We're cool. And they all come in and go, no, but if you get it, we get it, we understand it, we feel it, because so many people are being harmed individually. But when they came together and went, me too, right? That's when collective community came. Not from, and nobody wants to like literally come here and take revenge. We just want to exist. Like, life is hard enough. Like, we get judged by the colonizers' standards, that you think that actually if we make you accountable, we're going to do what you did to us. But it's not who we are actually. So that is judging us by the standards.
Not at all. And the same thing with misogyny and masculine and feminine. And the feminine, most patriarchal structures think that patriarchal structure is going to come in and do exact same thing. It's just a flip of the script, right? And that's the furthest thing, you know. It looks like we got frozen.
You're back.
Hello.
Now.
Yeah, we got a little bit frozen. So I don't know what you heard, but it's about understanding that we are not you and you are not us. And if you want to come up to our level, you need to look at you and what you've done. You need to be accountable for the history. And that's with patriarchy, that's with colonialism, that's, you know, with everything. It's always going to be about making amends, well, accountability, authenticity, right? And making amends. But, you know, there is a delusional superiority within certain people, you know, and they really have a hard time even grasping the concept that they are wrong. They're wrong.
So they just said, I find when people are wrong, they just say it again and again and again. And I just feel like even if you say it 17 times, it's not going to magically be right. You're still wrong. Like, there is this real need to hold
that's the Israeli training.
But again, propaganda that has been fed to, you know, Israel to do their education system. It's no different to what we're seeing for the far right. If we don't, again, pattern recognition, if we don't see the same patterns that are being used, because again, I have this conversation a lot when we look at how we have been harmed by the system. There is these divides, and I see a big divide, and it's happening again between the South Asian and the Black community here, right? It's saying that, you know, South Asian, but what we don't understand is actually the harm that was done to us. Our responses are different, right? They're different because South Asian trauma has been rooted in, like, we have a real high level of patriarchy, right, in the South Asian. But also it's rooted in shame. What does shame make you do? Shame makes you be quiet. So when we start to understand actually this is what this community is going through, Black folks had to fight for their survival. They are out there fighting. We've seen it all the time to their exhaustion. But if we don't understand what the responses we then have to the system because of what it's done, if it did the same thing to all of us, we'd come together. Right. So what we don't do is really understand, and this comes with repair, understanding how the system's created, but also what we have to heal within our own communities to be able to come back.
What I also want everybody to understand is this: there are deliberate systems set up to create the propaganda to do the divide. Okay. Yeah. You know, I'm Black, you're Southeast Asian, you know, Sahana, Gary, you're white. I don't have a problem with anybody, right?
Yep.
But if you go onto social media, which was also by design, you will hear nothing but rhetoric about this person or that person, and they are doing that from a high level of governmental level. This is it's designed to divide and conquer. So So you only become aware of that when you're aware of yourself.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's like that's bullshit. I don't have a problem with anybody because of the color of their skin, you know.
Yeah.
But I think there's a risk for those on the pale scale, and Gary, you can tell me, to unite with other groups, because that makes you other, you know. And if you've never lived as other, it's really uncomfortable living as other, and they will make it as uncomfortable as possible. Okay.
It's and what you've named is absolutely spot on, Trina, because what I witness inside business spaces every single day is a load of men walking around living above their neck, zero emotional, zero feeling, get the bills, pay the bills. If I don't do that, who am I as a man if I don't do all of that stuff? Like, that patriarchal conditioning for men goes so deep, and I see it every day. Like, I'm talking people on 6 and 7 figures who literally walk around like zombies.
Do you know
Like,
what's interesting,
it's
Gary?
unbelievable.
I
Fascinating.
used to have to do, so I've headed up recruitment processes. As part of the recruitment process, I had to do like psychometric testing for people that come into leadership. So one of them was around their, you know, their disc styles, and it was around their spatial awareness and stuff like that. And then one was around their emotional intelligence. I will tell you, generally, and this is what they look for people with a high dominance and a low. I can tell you every single person that's brought into the business, the decision is already made, right? You can't not hire someone based on the test, but the level of empathy that they had was pretty much non-existent, and emotional expression, right? So it was really low, and it starts to tell you a story. And
Right.
I had 98% empathy, and because of that, I was looked at as though, like, you couldn't be a leader. What do you mean you have high empathy?
Exactly.
What do you mean? And it was a real, like, and what I see, especially we see with women that are kind of going up and going into these positions, they have to act like men, right? And what I said is that, why are we trying to still rise in a system that clearly was built to suppress the divine feminine energy? Like, when we start looking at it, why are we trying to still be in that system? Why don't we just create our own? I don't like, you know.
And we still run the businesses better.
Of course we do.
Trina, this is the most wild thing, okay? Just to put a little bit of a metricy thing in for a minute. Gallup, the US organization that measures engagement globally, like the leading voice, for over 15 years, they've reported that 1 in 5, maximum 1 in 3 are fully engaged. That means they've got 2/3 to 4/5 of all of their employees walking around living above the neck. And they wonder why things aren't effective. They wonder why they're not performing as well. They wonder why, like, and that's just with a very Western colonized lens. That's not even with a regenerative lens. Like, it's doing what it's designed to do, right? It's doing exactly what it's designed to do. Extract.
Exactly. As about, and also, I just literally posted about, and I put a link to it. There was in the 1940s or 50s a manual pamphlet written on how to self-sabotage in a company. Now, I don't understand why the CIA would create this document, but it's everything that we do in corporations. Endless meetings with no real purpose was one of them. But the least competent person in charge in leadership. Create systems where there's a lot of bureaucracy, a lot of red tape.
Yeah.
A chain of command. So you can't go to the person you need to talk to because you have to go through the hierarchical structure, and it'll take longer, and you have to wait for a response, and you got to da-da-da-da. These were actually written steps on how to sabotage. Now, my question is, who are they sabotaging?
Yeah.
Oh, Sahana, we don't hear you. Don't hear you.
No, sorry, my cat was kind of having a temper tantrum at the background, so I put my
I heard. She was mad at you. She mad at you. You're not talking to me.
Very mad at me. Yeah. So, what you're saying, Trina, and what you all have all been saying, and I've been listening, because there are so many interconnected parts of this paradigm. But if you look beneath the sort of, the surface, the foundational or fundamental idea or belief or worldview or whatever you call it, the cosmovision that I use, is that same running thread of patriarchy, supremacism, uh, imperialism, economic control, and a form of what I call necrocapitalism, a death dealing force. So everything is built on this. So this underlying platform has these key factors, and everything else is built on this. Whether it is leadership, whether it is organizations, whether it is industries, whether it is the education system, the health system, the macroeconomics, the microeconomics, the social structures, everything has these foundational parameters that emanate from this cosmovision. So what ends up happening is you get leaders who actually are power brokers, not leaders, okay? Who are basically power brokers. You can't call them leaders. And they are the ones who succeed. They are the ones who are pushed to the top, rise to the top. So over a period of, say, a century of this kind of being pushed to the top, you have at the top a set of people with a certain kind of characteristics and qualities that you defined, Trina, that are very specifically, I call it anti-life. If you put everything together, the minus empathy, the control, the almost psychopathic, the lust for power and everything else, it is anti-life. So over a period of, say, 2 centuries, or if we go back to the discovery bullshit, where they stumbled upon an isle, upon a landmass which was already occupied, and then they discovered it, of course, because they didn't know about it. So this discovery, doctrine of discovery and everything else that followed, if you trace it back from there till now, so 500 years of this worldview has pushed certain kinds of people to the top systematically.
Of course.
Through these paradigms. And now you have this kind of people at the head of every kind of institution, strategic, political, economics, education, healthcare, everywhere. And if you're not this kind of person, whether you're biologically a man or a woman or another, if you're not this kind of person, which means if you are empathetic, you are a human being, like a true human being with human qualities, then you don't fit in. Then you will never be pushed to the top. Then you will never succeed.
Right.
And
that threatens the infrastructure. That threatens their agenda. That threatens their net control. Listen, I work for myself because I can't wear that. I can't wear that demon mask. I can't do it. I can't wear the parasitic mask. I tried. I did it for years. And I always look at people and go, wow, how can you keep that up? How can you do that? It's like it tears at your soul. It tears at your spirit when you are fully awakened. And you have to go into structures like that. I can no longer vibrationally tolerate it.
But that's why the system is designed to push certain kinds of people to the top.
I think we have to focus on, because I think, there are people I can go in, but I couldn't work there full time. I couldn't, and I've always worked remotely for the last 50 years. But for us, this is really about talking in their language. How do we build our opposition? Who's the opposition here? right? When we're looking at them, and I mean from how we're building a different system, but even like spiritually, energetically, we are the opposition. And one thing about the system and what they've built over it, they're bloody organized. I'll give them that. They're organized. They all talk from the same hymn sheet. They've all been designed. We have to be the opposition. We know what this is now. We know we can't participate in it. So collectively, we have to come together in our own individual, because this scarcity mindset, right? Look what we're dealing with. There is more than enough for everyone. If it's a little, even the far right, we need the far right, because you know what? We need that level of violence and aggression and anger. Just need them to project it at the right place. That would be really good. Right, because actually, if they
you mean the berserkers? We need the berserkers. Is this what you're talking about?
But if they use that level and actually projected it at the system, we would be free. And like, I'd give it 27 minutes, the level of aggression, and because sometimes that's what we need, that too, right? You can't build this system that's violence with no violence, but it's not in us to do it. So we need them to do what they need to do, but just project it to the right place, because we're all fighting the same system.
I have a mixed emotion about that, but I know what you mean.
I just think destruction. There will be
what it is that we've never had an opportunity as a species on this planet, at least not in my lifetime, to live in the imaginings of a world where that was not unnecessary. And, sometimes the word utopia is thrown around and stuff like that. And that's usually done so in a insulting way. But we don't know if it would work, because we never get the opportunity. We have too many Benedict Arnolds. We have too many flying monkeys. We have too many people who are harmed mentally to even be able to co-create something like that, And so there's always this part of me is like, can we just try? Can we change our language so that we can just try something absolutely different? Because every time another guard changes, it comes back to the same result.
Of course, yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm not trying to kumbaya the situation. What does that say? Oh, yeah.
Outgrowing modernity. So the previous book by Vanessa Mercado was Hospicing Modernity. This book's I've not read this one yet, Trina, but very much in line with what you're saying. And what's coming up for me as we're all discussing, right, is, like I say, it is a big thing, right? Systems, as you said in our last conversation, Hannah, systems are people.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, imagine, and it is not a big stretch for me, imagine being able to access 0.3% of every human being's energetic potential across 8 billion.
Exactly.
Right? Like, that's what we're talking about. Like, there is untapped energetic everywhere. It's just not joined up. Because we're intentionally being kept apart by the other.
We are.
And the more we realize there's not another, like, you can suddenly leverage that energy. Like, you only need.
And this.
I can really feel it at the moment, Trina. I can really, really feel it.
I feel it every single day. I feel it even with my clients. I get people going, oh my God, I needed you in my life. I have never heard another person talk like you. Okay. And the reason why is because I kicked all of that other bullshit in the garbage, and I meet people in their humanity, not with what is wrong with them, but what is right. Because quite frankly, if you are not crazy, you're not okay.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
I'm sorry. If you are not losing your shit right now over what's happened and it is happening, you're not well. Okay? You are empty. You are dead inside. Because if you can, like, people celebrating this holiday, my mind's blown right now. You have no money, or at least they're trying to take it all away from you. Whenever you spend a dime toward the system, you're feeding it. And then on top of it is based on a bullshit Roman holiday that's about sacrifice and freaking pedophilia. Aren't we fighting that right now? Aren't we fighting that right now? So the fact that you're going to go la 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 Santa, Satan, la 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 holiday songs blows my mind, you know? And this is not being a Grinch. This is me saying preserve your life force. Preserve your energy. Use it for something that's collective. Reach out to somebody that you know is probably pretty lonely during this time of the year. Just check on it. Say, are you okay? But people are not, like Gary said, we're like all over the place. There's people like you, me, and him, and you know, but we haven't organized.
Yeah.
We haven't organized.
And also the system is set up to not allow us to organize. And let me explain. For the last few months, every time I post something on LinkedIn, and obviously I'm writing decolonization, neocolonialism, and Palestine, and Gaza, and genocide, and blah, blah, blah. Every time I post it, I don't know where it goes. I mean, if I look for it and go to my profile, I'll find it, but it's never there algorithmically. Okay? So today, algorithm will disappear you. Algorithm will suppress you, oppress you. So algorithms have taken the place of what you are saying, the psychopathic 1% on the top who are using algorithms as their command slaves to sort of create the world that they envisioned as in the guise of extreme control. What they are forgetting, I believe this strongly, and I'm an optimist and an idealist. So what they're forgetting is you have artificial intelligence. Fine, keep it, bro. We have collective intelligence. And that is what they are shit scared of. Community, collective intelligence.
But we are tired, and we have to be so intentional about, and this is why I think because even if the four of us, right, let's say we didn't use social media tomorrow, but the four of us made a commitment that we would really understand what each other, and then we would go out to our network, and then those people go out to their network, right? We can build that community. It doesn't have to be done over, but everyone's tired and everyone's being bombarded with information. So if I said to everybody, oh, can you just resend this message out, and did we with best intentions we might do, or we might just go, oh, another message, I'm too tired, I'll look at that again. We have this has to be so intentional about this first transformation of community, and then I think it will filter through, you know.
I mean, that's how it was. That's how it always was, actually. The community builds by connecting the nodes of who we are. We're all these we're energetic nodes all over the world. Okay. But the mind has to be able to connect, right? So if your field is not open, so it's about opening up the field for connection. Everybody is so afraid to connect. Everybody is so afraid to contribute. I mean, I'm sitting here going, oh my God, you know, I've talked about my sanctuary with you. I can envision this very clearly, how it could look. Quite frankly, quite easy, right? When I talk about it, people's like, yes. Hey, so do you want to contribute? Silence.
Yeah, that's it.
People don't take the additional steps because they're afraid they're going to be ripped off. They're afraid they're going to be ostracized, whatever it is. But how do we make change, right? How do we make
trust each other, though, haven't we? Like, you know, I always say between my mum and her, like, community of like South Asian women, I will tell you, if I tell my mum something, like, they are faster than any internet, any fiber optic you can find, right? When there is some news to be told, right? Like when someone, like they didn't have this, right? So they have that community. They still pick up. I was still on hours to like that person. They have been very intentional about keeping the community that they have. And now for us, it's about How many followers can I get? So it's about quantity, it's not about quality, right? We're not actually, we're being bombarded with information, so we feel like we have to be part of everything, but we can't. No one's contributing fully what they can because they feel like they have to contribute everywhere, or they get scared to. We don't know enough because we have to know all of these stats. We can't just look at something with a human lens and be like, no, that is fucked up. You have to know stats. You need to justify why a black man should have been killed on the street, right? We've got to go and find this rap sheet. We've got to go why this worship of this white supremacy behavior, this data. Well, we know everything's not real anyway. So why are you going to tell us to quantify it with data? We're just speaking a language.
Yeah, and where did that? And here's with AI. Guess what? It would never exist if it wasn't for us. We're the data. We are the data. And the crazy part is that most people don't understand that our capacity of our brain is not even at 20%. If you cultivate a polymathic mind, you heard me say this, you wake up parts of the brain that allow for communication in such a greater scale that everybody's just like, they've taken on a mask or a role or a character of not being capable. And where did we get that programming? Where did we get that? The most beautiful thing I've seen with my clients is when they open themselves up and they realize they're capable. I never thought I could do that. I never thought I would think that way. They were never introduced to the information. Okay? They were never allowed because the education system is in closure. Okay? We're not really learning a goddamn thing.
Memorizing.
In the education. You're memorizing.
You're memorizing. You're only as good as your memory will let you read this. I was shit at school, not because I'm not intelligent, not because I have a low emotion.
No.
I just couldn't remember. I don't really care. If I don't care about something, I'm not going to remember it. If I don't care, I know more about Henry VIII's love lives than my own, respectfully. But you know what I mean? Yeah, so I didn't retain the information. But at the same time, when we, and they've labelled that neurodivergence, etc. But all I know is that when they were trying to fill me with propaganda, it didn't work on me. That's all I know.
Yeah. It's all about indoctrination. And there's a school in Switzerland called University Les Roses. Okay. And this is a school of the class. I refuse to call them elite. They don't deserve that label. They send their children, and these are people, governments, everywhere, $130,000 a year. Wow. $130,000. Now, these kids go into the banking industries, they go into their power positions or whatever. You know what they learn? They're not learning what we learn in school. They're learning how to conquer countries. They're learning how to manipulate power structures. They're learning the steps to be in power. That's all they're learning.
Trina, this is massive. I'm going to share two quick things, links to what Hannah shared as well, because I personally, as a white guy, found these links very helpful, and they'll be helpful to anybody, no matter what you look or sound like. One is white supremacy info from Tema Okun. Now, this is the 18 intersecting cultural patterns that most people never realize are how we behave. So I'm just sharing that to reinforce Hannah's point. The other one, I don't know if you've seen this, everyone, Boarding on Insanity, the documentary. It's exactly what Trina's speaking about, which is how the boarding school in the UK, literally Boris Johnson's gone through it, the elites have gone through it, inverted commas. It literally shows you how abusive, back to that point again, how abusive the boarding school system is. So if you accept abuse as you get educated, why wouldn't you take abuse into the power structure?
And go look at Israelism as well. Let's not forget people that then go into being directors in Google, in Meta. They've all worked for 8200, right? Surveillance. Right? So again, all these power structures being. And this is why I say Palestine's important to everyone. Should be. Not even because I'm asking you to care about the people, but we have to understand this is the epicenter of the digital, where when we see things are battle tested, they're tested on these humans. So for me, when we are seeing what we are seeing now, right, people that have said it's okay, what you have just done is consented to that happening to you, because what we've said is that keep going. There is, the line is a dot now. Just go. We were okay with it. So you've just okayed that for yourself as well, and your
exactly. Well, here's the thing: it's happening in the U.S. right now. People are like, oh my gosh, you mean they can find us anywhere, right? They're hunting citizens or even people who are just good, hardworking, tax-paying people, and they're doing it through their tax papers. They're doing it. I know that was what Doge was in there getting information, but basically, it's just like it's so epically fucked up that everybody doesn't just stop.
right.
You know what I remember, Gary? Stop.
Just stop.
Stand together, oppose psychopaths.
The thing is, even in the UK, people, I don't know if people know this, but we have the highest rate of people being arrested and imprisoned for speaking on social media.
Just for they're doing it everywhere.
5 people got arrested yesterday in their homes. They got their houses raided because of maybe they said something against Israel on social media.
I might.
It's insane. I'm going to mention it now actually because it's really, really topical. So I'm talking to some people within organizations, right, who are trying to not even blow the whistle, just have a conversation that says, hey, organization, you shut your Russian operation down when they invaded Ukraine. And we've heard diddly squat for the last 3 years about Israel and Gaza. Why is that? And it's amazing how you see all of these business leaders who are big, strong, grow the business, acquire another business, suddenly have ostrich syndrome. And nobody wants. So this person I've spoke to Hannah about this before. CEO ignored it. Global head of compliance ignored it. Global HR director ignored it. One of their suppliers, Trina and Sahana, is Israeli and has direct links to the settlement project. And guess what? No one even wants to have a conversation, not even a discussion.
But what we have to ask is not why they don't want to, is why they can decide they don't want to.
That's a good point.
Right?
Yeah.
We need to understand what allows them what allows David Lammy and Keir Starmer to have such chest to go out there and see that our comrades, our friends, our families are dying of starvation in a hunger strike, asking for a fair trial. What allows them to be able to ignore the fact that they are sitting in these positions of power in our government?
Because they all went to school together.
Justice, right? The Minister of Justice is literally okay with, we could go onto our feed right now and find out that one of them has died of hunger.
Right. It's not about laws. Listen, this is the funny part. I posted a video today where there's a white dude screaming his head off on laws. Why are you guys talking about laws? There's nothing but criminals in office. What do you expect? They're gonna law this, law that. The truth is that we are the people. We are the ones that have to enforce the laws.
Everybody here, has the law ever helped you?
No.
Nope.
No, never helped me.
No.
Never helped me.
Not anything. Not at all. And matter of fact, it's undermined me more than it's ever helped me.
It's hurt me. It's hard.
Yeah. As a Black woman, you know what I mean? So it's like, I think people just it's a cognitive dissonance, and they just need something to hold on to them to make them safe, but they don't hold on to themselves. You have to hold on to yourself. And I think that concept, it's very hard to swallow because so many people are told that they're nothing. They're meaningless. Their contributions don't matter. I try. I try. And I said, well, you got to stop trying. You just got to start doing. Trying doesn't do anything.
It's true, because actually when I think about my career in corporate, right, my contributions didn't matter. It became a reality because at the end of the day, I was trying to operate, especially working in the DEI field where you literally, they don't want to change. right? So actually my contribution was, it's not that it wouldn't have been, it wasn't allowed to be. So then that becomes a reality.
Exactly.
But now I operate from, I think I said, Gary, when we did the podcast, I operate from a real level of confidence now, not because, you know, I am the most attractive person in the room or you know, I have the most knowledge in the room. It's because I know I'm a bloody good human being. I'm not perfect, but I know deep down inside I have a decent, good soul, and I care about humanity. And there's a level of confidence that comes with that. Because you know what? I am right. I am right because I believe in humanity. So there's no grey area here. I'm right when it comes to, because I believe that everyone deserves safety. I believe that everyone, you know, I'm not gonna do whataboutisms either, right? What do we say? Actually, this is there is no middle ground here. It's genocide or it's not, right? So what people at this stage that still can't see it, you're not my people, and quite frankly, I don't want to be in your energy. But the people that do see it but don't know what to do with it, come along. We'll help you along, right? But those ones that that's them, they're not.
Hannah, I think it's really interesting, right? Because like we challenge, right? We talk a lot about yes and versus either or, like break that binary, which is important. But sometimes there's rare occasions where a binary matters, and I think you just shared one, right? There is a genocide or there isn't. Like sometimes a binary does matter. I think that's a great example.
And this was it. People
and there's
stats and stuff, and I used to be like, but can we not just look at it as like, you don't need to, because we've been told things are complicated.
Can we
about them, right?
Can we reclaim humanity? Can we reclaim our humanity? That's the part that I keep. That's the part that this is why I named my book the way I did. Reclaiming humanity I'm not talking about you being right and me being wrong. I'm asking you to be a freaking human being. You know what I mean? And a human being, your ideas, so the ideas of what that is been so distorted and so and messed up and with these belief systems and ideologies. Being human means I see you, you see me. We're of the same species. You're my brother, you're my sister. At some point, we were related, even distantly. Can we just be human? Okay? Because there was a time before colonialism where there was equal, fair, and common trade. Nobody was always killing themselves and killing each other. It wasn't. And they want to paint a history pre-colonialism of savage trade, but everybody was getting along pretty well.
Yeah, I want to be able to argue with you all because you gave Sahana better potatoes than she gave me when we bought. Like, I want those really rubbish, pointless, that kind of conflict. Like that's kind of where we were at. We want to go back. We don't, like you just said, but for me, like you said, it's a humanity. Like I know I'm right because I believe in humanity. I know I'm right because I actually believe in collective. I'm not here to, like you said, we're all sitting here from different parts of the world, but we're all different races, genders, you know, whatever it may be. But we've come together because we're collective human beings, right? Collective human beings is where I'm at, right? People that don't want to be human, cool. Like why don't we start talking about, instead of talking about race and gender, and why don't we talk about who's human and who's not, right? How about we start dividing each other by that? Who's human and who's not? If you're human, come along. You can be flawed, that's fine. But if you're human, there's community here, because in community, because what we have to do is we sit there and we try to quantify so much instead of, you know, people like, it's complicated. I need to know what happened with Israel. No. Can we just look?
Nothing's complicated.
Are being blown up. There's humanity. We're losing our humanity. The land, the animals, the trees. Can we just look at that? And in your gut, does that feel wrong? If it feels wrong, it probably is.
Yeah, exactly. And they know it's wrong, but they're not like us. That's the problem. And I will stand on the mountaintop and scream that because I can tell.
But all of us have the potential to, right? That's the thing. That's this remembering piece, right? Some people are so far gone, don't get me wrong. Some are so far psychopathic. But at the end of the day, I think it's very rare. This is my belief, might be completely unfounded, but we don't come. I've got a grandson. I'm watched 2 grandsons. Neither one of those at the moment wants to run an AI company and destroy people on the back of autonomous weapons in another country. Right? It's all conditioning. It's all training. Right. So how do we intercept the training?
They will grow up thinking AI is normal. That's the
That's
thing.
fair
Yeah,
challenge.
but that's only
Realisation.
that's only if you allow them to have access and use to it. Here's the
Intentionality,
thing:
then.
they're trying to put it. They're trying to. This is the whole the education system. If people really wanted to make shifts, I talk about it in my book. Take your homeschool. Take your kids out of the education system as it is. Stop valuing it, because the majority of people who are out here with a bachelor's, a master's, and a PhD are working in a gig economy, driving a car to deliver food. I mean, it's just that stamp of approval that they thought that was going to open the door to this wonderful life. People are just in debt.
Yep.
They're trapped in a cycle of debt. And that was by design, because as Rockefeller said, I don't want a nation of thinkers. I want a nation of workers.
Workers.
Yeah.
It's always been about servitude.
But what's the difference between the workplace, the prison, and the education system? Not much.
Not a damn thing.
We're told to
Not a
go.
damn thing.
Told, you know, you have your lunch break on a certain time, certain breaks. You're told when you can, you know, go to the bathroom. Like, what's the difference? You know, we're all in uniform. You know, you wear this uniform. And for school, the prisons, it's all the same.
I want to hear Sahana's thoughts, but as I pass over, I want to just tell you one thing. I do know of companies that still have a dress policy that tell people what they can wear, when they can wear it, when a dress down day is. That stuff still happens as we go into 2026. Just saying. Sahana, I wonder what's on your heart at the moment.
No, I was just listening to all the amazing conversation. And I'm sorry, my cat decided to throw another tantrum. I have 3 of them, okay? So they throw tantrums at different times.
Tantrums are valid. Like, we're having one, let's be fair.
Yeah. Yeah, and the 3 of them are like more than a handful. So what I was saying is, so if you look at what AI is doing, you know what it is first attacking. You have ChatGPT, you have all the Claude and this and that and agentic AI and all the fancy stuff that is really like super cool, where you learn to give prompts. You're not learning how to think or create. Prompt writing has become the new thing, right? But what is AI attacking? It's attacking our imagination,
100%.
our creativity, our ability to think and sense patterns, sense making. It is attacking the very thing that makes us human.
So one thing I do with organizations is when I kind of create these containers, I will make them ground themselves. I'll make them recognize their nervous system. But when we do these, we'll do it through creative activities. Because again, one thing I really want to, especially with the children, is really help them, because the creativity is literally beaten out of us as we go. But like, their brains are wonderfully curious. Because with the creativity comes curiosity, doesn't it? And it like paint on the side of the lines, we've been told, because I said to a friend of mine, she came over and we were having a bit of a moment, you know, we'd just been to a march, and she cried. She went, I used to dance. She was like, I don't dance anymore. And she said, because this whole thing about, you know, you can only dance if you're good at it. I said, but what if we reframe that? And I told her, I put music on, I put a crown on her, I said, bitch, you better dance now. Like, so we danced it out. But at the same time, it was very much around going, but you know what, how about we celebrate who came in and felt the most joy, right? Who about the best dancer is the person that really embodied joy and made us all like feel that joy? How about they become the best dancer? How about they become the best artist? The people that, you know, your art, we really
why is there even why do we need a framework for the best of anything?
It's wild.
You know, why do we need a framework for the best of anything? I think that's part of the issue. A constant competition. That's a leftover from hierarchical and colonial mindsets. The best of whatever. Just freaking go dance. Just freaking enjoy yourself. There doesn't need to be a contest. I'm tired of the contest. Yeah. You know, I'm tired of the contest. That's always, you know, Hannah, I'm really big on language. So when I start to feel and hear words, I feel words.
Yeah.
You know, I feel words. And so when I listen to people talk something, I'm not just hearing the words, I'm feeling the words that they chose to use.
And if anybody doesn't follow Trina, please do, because the journey that you've took me, like, I'm only scratching the surface, but the journey that you've taken me on, looking at words, it changed everything. So I am far from, but don't listen to, but engage with Trina, please, because honestly, like the journey, and I'm sure everybody else here will say the same thing, the journey that you took me on around really understanding language. I just want to say thanks.
+1. Etymology, isn't it, Trina?
Etymology. And because it is only through understanding just what Sahana was talking about with her language. Language is alive. Okay. It was originally used for alchemy. It wasn't just used to throw something at it. You spoke to somebody's water. You spoke to somebody's heart. So you were careful about what word you chose because you're like, And it's only through us pausing, which a lot of people don't do because they talk out of nervousness. I want to be heard. I want to be heard. I want to be heard. I want to be seen. I want to, but they're not thinking about what the actual.
But also understanding how like words are. So I've just seen the comment somebody's just commented in Swahili, which I understand, and like again, there's that instant connection there because we look at actually the words because we've been told this English language and it's been spread everywhere, and again the entitlement that comes with the English language. But not understanding what we're saying.
No, I would have to take people down a notch. I'd be like, I'd love your language. What do you mean? Well, I want to speak like you. I said, why? Your language has this word and it means this and it's so beautiful and it sounds like this. It's a song. I say, you ever learn it? You ever notice how flat the English language is?
And also because words represent or mirrors worldviews. So, for example, in my language, okay, in English, you have the word cousin, which means, either, and you might at the most use the adjective like maternal cousin or a paternal cousin to say which side of the family the cousin is from. In my language, there is a specific word for every kind of cousin.
Yeah.
So by using that word, we know whether the cousin is a maternal cousin or a paternal cousin, a first cousin or a second cousin, whether it's a sibling or an older cousin or a younger cousin. Because the worldview that comes through it is of a society that is relational, very relational. So what patriarchy and colonization and supremacism and imperialism and capitalism has done is created an individualized society deliberately, wrenching us out of our community and our relationality, relationship with other humans and with the ecosystem and with ecology and with more than humans. Mm-hmm. So the words that arise out of that is very different. But again, when I look at English as a language, I'm still moved by William Blake. I'm still moved by Shakespeare. I'm moved by Wordsworth. I'm moved by his daffodils. But when so see what the system has done. It has deliberately, very, very deliberately erased the humanities from the syllabus gradually. So you're supposed to study science. You're supposed to do STEM. You're supposed to do mathematics. You're supposed to do what is quantifiable. All those humanity stuff, the soft stuff, the philosophy and the poetry and the literature and the, all of that will not get you a job, that doesn't pay, that's just a waste of time. No, stay away from there. Focus on STEM. Focus on the next bioengineering. Focus on the next biogenetics or whatever else they are focusing on. Great. Again, it's not an either and. It had to be both. Whereas this society, because of the cosmovision, has veered towards this, forgetting the beauty of the language, forgetting the daffodils,
the creativity, the imagery that a word and a phrase and a sentence can create, can move the soul.
That's deliberately
music does that, right? We can listen to, so I listen to all the way from like Arabic music to Spanish music, like sometimes I can't even understand it, but I understand the gravitas of the frequency of So, you know, people say when the call to prayer, for example, is done at a certain frequency, and not everyone can do the call to prayer because you have to have that level of frequency in your voice to be able to. And I know if anybody can speak, but Arabic is like bloody poetry. Like, you know, they won't just say like I miss you. It'll be like some beautiful, like you said. But again, it's what they've done here is they've complicated it but simplified it.
It's not the language. I mean, for me, Bob Dylan's "How Many Miles Can a Man Walk On?" Can a man walk on? Is as moving as a song in my language. But the point is, AI and its manifestation and the people who have deliberately been pushed to the top, or rather who have risen to the top because of certain qualities they have, are ensuring that you don't pause to listen to music. You don't stop to appreciate the flowers by the wayside. Right?
That's right, Michael or Malcolm. That's right. Language
Beautiful,
is a conduit
beautiful.
to spirit and the heart.
Yeah,
it defines who you are more than anything else. Why? Because we live in a world of universal frequencies that affect everything in the universe. And if I could get everybody to understand that, I will have done my job in this lifetime. Because it is the words that are spoken to you that harm you the most in your childhood, that you remember everything your mom and dad said to you. And if those words were kind, you'll remember that, and in you will feel that about yourself. Don't forget, this is about you, right? So if you were brought up in a childhood where you were constantly said you were loved, I love you, or you're so good at that. Oh wow, look how you were able to figure that out. If you speaking to somebody like that, you're going to propel their trajectory.
Speaking life into, and actually my biggest obstacle, I think, has been talking kindly about myself, because I would do it through humor, right? I would say unkind things about myself, but I do it through humor. And since I know my little sidekick over here who is going wild on the floor with a pen, I do that to her. So when I'm even saying to her like, "Mummy loves you," and like, yes, I'm that person with a cat child, deal with it. But when I'm saying it to myself, I'm saying it's so healing to myself to be able to say those things out loud. And you know, I'm like, oh, because she went through it. I'm healing kind of. But again, it's a real healing to be able to say it out loud, because these are things that we didn't hear. So it's the neurotransmitters program. I'm rewiring my brain to be like, actually.
Did you know you can say stuff to cats and they'll understand you?
Oh, we speak. Yeah, we totally speak.
Yeah, you do that. Was that something like this? I've seen. Yeah, I've seen it online so many times, and it works.
Everybody go do use social media and go and look at Scouse cat. So this is a cat whose owner is from Liverpool, and the cat meows with a Scouse accent. It's brilliant. It's brilliant. It's like meow.
Well, cats develop. Did you know the cats never meowed until they started working with living with humans?
For us,
it was an adaptant. That's how they got food. They
must have been like,
meow,
so dumb that I have to do something to make them understand anything.
Well, they could. If you can't, they can't communicate with you with the third eye. They had to do something. Yeah. You know what I mean?
No, they do. They do. I have 3 cats, and one of them is extremely attached to my husband. So when he had gone to Malaysia, she first of all refused to eat for a couple of days, and then she kind of settled down. And 3 days before he was scheduled to return from Kuala Lumpur, she just went and sat in his room. I don't know. He was not in the airport. He was not even on the flight. There was still 3 days left for him to return. And she just parked herself in his room. She didn't even step out to eat. I had to take her food there, but she stayed there for 3 days till he came back. So they're pretty amazing.
They're energetic beings.
They say dogs are the protectors in this kind of physical realm, but cats are our spiritual guardians, right? And so some days I've had a heavy day. She'll come and sit, like the other day she sat on each one of my chakras and just purred. And then when I'm having like a day, she'll sometimes sleep by my feet as a you know, protecting you, or she'll come and sleep next to me, or She understands when we need a bit of space, where it's been a bit, you know. But there is definitely, like, I didn't get it. I was terrified of animals, terrified. Like if you had like a hamster, I wouldn't come to your house. That's how terrified I was.
That was programming. That was
right?
programming. You were
I
talking,
didn't even actively do it. I just released fear. When we go back to fear, when I started to release fear in general, I didn't do anything to be okay with animals. It just happened. So I think we just release it and understanding where that is entrenched.
You were ready. Yeah, you were ready. But let's see how are we doing on time here?
15 minutes. That's an hour. This conversation is a brilliant example, right, of flow state, right? If we sat down and went, oh, that's like 105 minutes. What do you do in 105 minutes normally? We do this in minute increments. Like, that's the world that's dying. Like, that is the world that has to die. And I just saw this comment here from Ricky on LinkedIn as well. You know, look, divide and conquer mentality has shown itself. And I think, again, Ricky, it's brilliant, right? The veil of hegemony has gone, right? There is nothing left to hide anymore. Right. And maybe going some reflections maybe now as we go into the last 15 minutes. But I've made loads of notes here around, you know, reconnecting to ourselves, empathy. It's an inside-out job first and foremost, but we do that in community to the maximum impact. Reclaiming our humanity. You know, we're all humans and we're flawed, but actually, how do we reclaim that humanity despite us being naturally flawed? You know, so much of that is an inner stroke community, individual plus collective journey. And I think the bit that I'm not used to having, honestly, within workspaces is the collective bit. And I think that's the opportunity, certainly in my context, is how do you try and activate and help everyone remember that they are humans first and foremost, and then they're part of a community, and they should treat non-human life as life, not as secondary. You know, there's so much in this. That's what I've taken away, like loads of reminders, but also I feel like this is a proper portal now. Like, we've all spoken about it, we've had conversations about it, but I feel like with the contributions of people as well as we've gone through today, like, there is no going back. Like, whatever anybody thinks normal was, just rip, excuse my language, rip it the fuck up, because that normal has destroyed the planet. It's destroyed communities, and we've watched live stream destroying of culture over the last 2 years. None of that is normal. Never has been. No. Never should have been. So, like, this is an opportunity now. I guess I'm trying to wrap up my summary of the time really is now. The time is now to reclaim our humanity.
Yeah, and it's so other people are freaking out about everything, and I'm like, oh, finally. You know, that's pretty much how I've been feeling about it. And I was asked by one of my clients, how can you know all the stuff that you're knowing? Cultivate a polymathic mind. Doesn't it freak people out? And I said, but no, it shouldn't. It's just information to help us direct our creation, right? If you don't know, you don't know what to do. You don't know what to feel. Our feelings, our emotions are these conduits, these energetic conduits for change. And so long, the entirety of humanity has been misdirected in creation because they didn't know. They didn't know. So now you know. So let's start creating something that we want collectively, you know, and stop worrying about the avatar. Stop worrying about the mask. Stop worrying about the money, because money is even a figment of the imagination. It was an agreed upon piece of paper or a currency because it actually represents your energy. All right. That's all it did. And so we just forgot that's what it represented. Now, so let's put our energy someplace else. No, well, I wanted to just say mind alignment restores discernment. Okay, number one, language precision and independent thought. Okay, because everything I do is mind, body, spirit. Okay, body alignment restores awareness of rhythms, signals, and embodied truth. We ain't got to worry about the media. Okay? And spirit alignment restores the inner authority, coherence, and meaning. So that's why we need to be mind, body, spirit aligned, and stop worrying about this mess. So
I think a great handover point from you, Trina, is what Ricky's dropped here. If not now, then when?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Hannah, what's your checkout reflections, my friend?
There's loads. I could do another 2 hours on this, but I think for me, it's about really the intentionality behind this. We have to be intentional to break out of this, and I think really, like Trina said, language, but I think there's also something about mindset here, about really understanding there are people that we would be like, I would never listen to that person, because we make judgments, but what we don't is allow for us to be able to listen to what they're saying and take what we need and help us join together the dots, because too often we don't listen. So I watched the Russell Brand and Candace Owens podcast. Do I fundamentally agree with them as people? No, but did I watch it? Because did I take like even a minute bit of information about their experience and what they've experienced and how this, it's not about them, it's about the system. Did I agree with what they said about Freud? Yeah, I did actually. So you know what we do is we stop ourselves from what this has done. Is this divide and conquer system has made us literally go, no, we're not going to listen to anything that person says, we're just going to fight. So for me, I think this is about really opening up your mind, allowing people to evolve, because we're all evolved. I genuinely believe everybody has evolved in some way, shape or form. It might be down the negative end, but some people have evolved. So how are we actually just allowing for conversations to happen and listening? Because ultimately, people just want to be heard. People want to be heard. But we have to come together in collective community. We have to understand our role. I genuinely believe my purpose here is to become that bridge builder that brings people together. I'm not here. I can't do the amazing things you all do, but what I can do is bring people together. And so what is my sole responsibility? Part that we play to dismantling this system and rebuilding humanity, reclaiming it.
You can do whatever you need to do, Hannah.
Right. Yeah. But what I've noticed, the things that tie me down are the system. So the admin, the complying with this policy. That's what, not our ability to do what we are meant to do. Yeah. And it should feel effortless.
True.
Sahana.
And I think to sum up everything that I've heard, see the overwhelm or despair or everything else, the words that are thrown around that people feel, and like Trina and Hannah said, are deliberately created because certain kinds of things are pushed at us deliberately over and over and over again. So what is actually pushed at us in the name of success and in the name of technology and growth and super development and progress are actually extremely ugly. So we are fed the ugly over and over and over again. Someone shooting off to space, someone spending billions to orbit the Earth, and someone spending billions to clone humans, which are not humans, but in long-termism, I'm forgetting the term, but basically artificial humans, artificial beings, and then projecting them as more worthy of real living human beings today, and so on and so forth. In the name of progress and science and technology and growth and all the bullshit, we are pushed the ugly all the time. So you're fed on the ugly. But if we very intentionally, to use Hannah's word, divert our focus from what is pushed at us and look at those cracks and crevices of this planet where beauty still survives and thrives. Look at the grandfathers and fathers in Gaza. Look at them pulling children out in spite of the rubble and hugging completely unknown babies to their chest. Look at those people still feeding a stray cat with the morsel, probably the last morsel they have. Why don't we focus on the life that is still there all around us, but which the quote unquote the propaganda machines and the manufacturing consent machines of the ugly will deliberately leave out, so that you do not gain strength from the beauty all around you, so that you do not see the empathy that still flows everywhere, so that you do not see the living rivers and the thriving mountains. So they'll denude it, they'll block the rivers, they'll dam the rivers, they'll blow up the mountaintops, they'll make the creation ugly because ugly is all they know. So everything that's pushed at us is so ugly that we have to deliberately, intentionally, very, very, I would say with our very open mind, heart and body, seek and find the beautiful that is still there. It is there. The beauty.
There is loads, and I always say, I never felt like a leader in a boardroom, but when I'm with my activism, when I'm on the streets and collective community, you know, there's been times where I've ended up with someone's bag and their phone because we feel like to make a run for it. But I didn't know them before, but the level of trust, I know I can walk into that room and I trust those people with my freedom, with my and this is what we need to bring in. And being an activist is something like we all have the capability of doing it. And I just on what you said, Sahana, I just wanted to take that 1 minute just to honour that you just said the grandfathers in Gaza. Today is the birthday of Khalid, we call him Uncle Khalid, and his granddaughter Reem, Soul of Our Souls. Today it's their birthday.
Look at the doctors, look at the nurses, look at the students who are staking their career, who are walking out of universities, who are sitting down for encampments, who are thrashed and beaten by their own governments. But this was bound to happen. So look at the beauty, look at the connectedness, look at the community. When
the youth have, you know, the Bulgarian government walked out. They you know, we can do this as a people, but we have to rise up in collective community and say enough is enough. And, you know, how much are we willing to be okay with in terms of, right, you know, not everyone can risk their freedom, but some people will. And how do we stand behind them? How do we really build collective community? Because, you know, there is a grandfather and a granddaughter who shared their birthday today, but they're not here anymore.
They're not here anymore.
It's my
Hind Rajab is not here anymore, but today we remember Hind Rajab. We take her name, right? But so what this narrative has done is it has held up the ugliest as the successors of this whole thing. So whether it's a Musk or a Zuckerberg or whoever the freaking Peter Thiel and whoever the other freaking people are, the ugliest, the most sociopathic, the most psychopathic have been held up as role models, so that the generations coming into life today will start emulating them, and more people will start becoming like them, and more and more and more and more. So we have to forcibly, intentionally hold up people like Buddha existed, Gandhi existed. I'm not saying only because they're from my land, but they existed. Prophet Muhammad existed. So if they existed, who are the other role models today? Why is Miss Rachel not a role model?
But I think the narrative is flipping, and just, you know, this one key bit.
Yeah, exactly.
The narrative, because all these celebrities, the Beyoncés, the Jay-Z, the Katy Perry, like they're not what we call heroes anymore. They're not who people aspire to be. People,
and we find them ugly now, right?
Yeah, we're changing.
Nobody should be looking at celebrities as heroes of anything. They're just as much. They're just as much slaves as anybody else. As a matter of fact, they're the worst. They're the worst. No, it's not even about money for them. It's about their covenants that they make.
But I think
I agree with you, Sahana.
Yeah. So when we deliberately seek out the beautiful and start speaking about that, the alternative narratives already exist. They have existed for millions of years and centuries. They've just been deliberately made invisible. And yes, of course, add to that the knowledge that has come, the further knowledge, whether it's technology or whatever else, and amplify those. So let the propaganda machine push out their ugliness, but we collectively push out, create the beauty that's there all around us. It's there.
Absolutely.
It's here right now in this space. Like, it's an honor, but
You-
with all four of you.
We are more.
Every
If I tell all my
harbors a seed.
all
And
my
the seed
clients,
is-
you are more than you know. You are more than you know.
I just want to
You
say
are
as
more
well,
than-
like this, hopefully anyone that's joined us for part or all of this conversation today, this is the normal we want to co-create together, where you can bring people in from all over the world, no matter what they look like, where they come from, the shared experience of better, healthier, more connected, less brutal, less violent. That is possible for us. And we've modeled it today.
Every
Let's
day.
get to it. However you celebrate this time of year, people, take care. Trina, I love you. Hannah, I love you. Shahana, I love
I
you.
love you guys.
And we
I've
thank
missed,
you
I've
all.
missed
Rest
you.
of your
I've missed you
rest
guys
of
so
this
much.
year. I know. Have a beautiful rest of the year.
Yeah.
And
get
may
to
the
it.
collapse
Next year.
happen as fast as it can.
Next
Grateful
care.
for all of you. And
you.
rest, please. Everybody rest.
We're going to need it.
Rest.
year.
Just be. Just
Take
be.
care, everyone. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.